I think it's easy and quite natural to be allergic to self-promotion. We were taught from a young age that if we're good at something, people will beat a path to our doorstep and give us everything that we deserve. We were taught things like, your work speaks for itself. But the honest to God truth is that phrases like, if you build it, they will come, only work if you're Kevin Costner and in baseball. And so we do have to self-promote. And yeah, in this day and age where we want to get a job, that does involve promoting ourselves on LinkedIn. Because when we are able to get the LinkedIn algorithm to work on our side, then it pushes, it promotes, it shares the best parts of what we have done, what we can do, and what we can do for others in a way that isn't arbitrary, forced, false. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is be our natural selves and be respected for it. And hopefully through that respect, we do get what we deserve. We do get the careers that are commensurate with our ability to create value for the companies that we work with and for our future teammates. Self-promotion isn't sleazy. What people cringe at, what makes people really uncomfortable, is when they see people on LinkedIn that are throwing themselves a pity party and they worry that that's what they sound like. Therefore, they reject sharing who they are on social media. Or there are those people who go the total opposite way and are just, I guess for lack of a better phrase, braggadocious. They are tone deaf and just share accomplishments without any context. That they're just hyping themselves up, talking about how good they are at everything, coming across really fake along the way. The first thing people have to understand is that self-promotion can feel or look shameful when people are either being too self-deprecating or that people are being too boastful. And so how do you navigate these twin dangers like Scylla and Charybdis from the Odyssey? The easiest way for you to not come off as boastful or too self-deprecating is to talk about your past. Your past is a series of factual events, but they actually did happen. What is your resume? Your resume has one job, and that is to get you an interview. You pack your resume full of facts about your career that you believe will excite a recruiter or a hiring manager to bring you and interview you. Therefore, every single thing on your resume should be fair game for you to talk about in social media. Start there. Interrogate it from different angles. What was the impact of what you did? That's a post. How did you learn how to do it? That's another post. And you can keep on pushing through these things. So you can say like, why was it hard? What was the lesson you learned in doing it? And if you were going to do the same thing again today, how would you do it differently? How would you do it better? There are so many ways for you to share your experience that there's actually no limit.
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist.
We do this because the easiest way to navigate between the two dangers of being too self-deprecating and being too proud, the best way to navigate these two things is by being a teacher. Teach people how to measure impact. Teach people the mechanical skills of how to do the thing. Teach people about how you would improve the process. Teachers deserve our respect, and so when you become a teacher, you create trust that makes recruiters and hiring managers and heck, your peers and colleagues who will give you referrals stand up and pay attention to you. Everybody is terrified of being who they are on the internet, so we cosplay who we think other people will like. And in trying to cosplay as somebody else, we actually discover that it's really hard, probably won't get the results that you want. And so if you think you will be better by cosplaying as somebody else, and get bad results, then that actually dings your self-confidence. You start thinking, well, if I can't be that person and they're not accepted, then when I'm my actual self, then that's going to be actually worse. Your best self, your most authentic self, is the one that everybody on the internet is dying to meet, because there are too many people cosplaying as other people, and it's so obvious how fake they are that it is a massive turnoff. My advice to you now is don't try to please everyone. Please yourself. Please the person who you were 2 years ago. Because if you please everyone by being generic, no one will care. Spiky is important to being memorable. But when I say spiky, I don't mean being harsh, impolite, or rude. I'm saying speak with your unique tone of voice. On LinkedIn, you still have to adhere to general rules of decorum. Talk on LinkedIn as if you would talk in the office, in a gaming studio, at Blizzard, at Riot, or EA. That means speaking with maybe gaming metaphors, maybe being bold in certain ideas. You have to be willing to speak truth to power, and that means open to being wrong, right? To be disagreed with. If you say things that people cannot disagree with, then honestly, I don't think you're saying much of anything at all. The risk here, though, is will you be alienating potential employers, or will you be alienating clients who don't agree with you? Sure, maybe. But honestly, you would have already disagreed with them if you started to work with them anyway. The key here is, how do you be memorable without being offensive? One of my strongest takes is unlimited PTO is a trap. Regardless if you agree or disagree with me, I hope that the way I lay out my arguments still makes you think that I am a logical, respectful person. So the content of what you say and how you say it are two different things, because you can say something that is absolutely boring, but in a hostile, rude way, and turn somebody off. Or you can have a controversial hot take, but say it in a reasoned and polite manner and get more professional respect, because you were able to take these two things and put them together and change, or at least broaden, somebody's perspective. And that is an incredibly powerful skill to have, not just in the job hunt, but in the promotion hunt. Let me give you a good example about what I communicated and how I communicated the PTO shift. At Riot, we have unlimited PTO. And yeah, I understand how funny it is for somebody who's not been in the company for 4 years to say we, but bear with me here. So back then, I was in charge of a team of 15 people, and with unlimited PTO, I noticed that people were burning out, which kind of didn't make sense in my head, because with unlimited PTO, that means that people have the freedom to take whatever time they need. As part of my leadership and fact-finding, I did surveys and I checked in with my team, asking them how much time off was reasonable in a given year. So as a result of that, I got different numbers. Some people went as high as 37 days in a year, and a couple people said 6. And 6 days of PTO is insane. Insane for any company. Insane if you think about the struggles that people have at a game studio, and insane when you realize that they have a work benefit that says unlimited PTO. And that was when I realized that unlimited PTO is a trap, where people are scared to look like they're not team players, so they go out of their way to work harder than is absolutely necessary, because they want to signal to the rest of the team, to the company, that they're contributing. Except at the leadership level, nobody really cares. There is no point in the promotion conversation that says, hey, how much PTO did this person take? Oh, they crossed this invisible line? Well, I guess not only are we going to not give them a promotion, we might fire them as well. As a result of that, I set minimum PTO. I thought that the minimum amount of PTO that somebody should take in a year was 20. And that meant every quarter, everybody had a PTO KPI. They had to take at least 5 days of PTO every quarter. Otherwise, they would be dragging the team average down. And at the end of every quarter, I made it very public. Anybody that was missing their PTO target was shared within the team, and we made damn sure that the next quarter they were able to take enough PTO to get back up into the minimum acceptable levels of time off. That sort of contrarian thinking that unlimited PTO is a good thing. Not only did I have to fix it, but I had to fix it in a way that was kind of snarky, a little bit, call it public shamey, but at the end of the day, good for my team and maybe not perfect for my company. That sort of spikiness is what I'm talking about. We have to teach to show people what kind of craftsmen we are. We have to teach to show what kind of leaders we are. And we have to teach just so people know how we think. Because people hire people who we trust. And we trust people who we know how they think. Maybe the most dangerous thing about teaching is if you teach something wrong or are called out for saying something inaccurate. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? One, you learn that you've been doing something wrong and you have the opportunity to do it better. Two, you get to explain to people how you learned that and show public humility and that you are a mature person and are growing beyond it, because none of us are perfect in anything. And that, quite frankly, is the most beautiful thing about being human, that we are imperfect creatures and that we are always learning and we have the capacity for growth. So when we put ourselves out there, we grow. Either we learn that we're doing something really right and people resonate with it, therefore we can do more of it, or we learn that we've been making a fundamental mistake, and so then we can correct it, teach that, be better. If you're anything like me or any of the clients I coach, you've probably been stuck in this self-promotion allergy for years. And that's tough, because that means you have to reverse all of this habit and routine taught you since you were a young child. Now, if you enjoyed this video about the self-promotion allergy and why it is important for you to get out there and write content and be seen and share what you're good at, then stay with this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.